So we look at the people who seem to move mountains.
Hmm.
The big thinkers, the one whose names just mean change. And it's easy to get kind of fixated on the outcome.
Right. The success, the awards, the visible stuff.
Exactly. But what if the real story, the
Mhm.
truly powerful part, isn't just the success itself, but the actual impact?
That's really the core question, isn't it? When we talk about success, specifically in the context of changing the world, it totally shifts the focus.
Yeah.
It becomes less about, personal gain and much more about the wider influence, the lives they touch, the fundamental shifts they manage to create.
And that specific distinction is exactly what drew us into this particular deep dive. We've been digging into a source that really zeroes in on this exact idea, how successful people change the world.
Yeah, and our goal here really is to cut through all the noise and pull out the most important insights this material offers. Like, what does this source tell us success actually means when it's linked to changing the world? Who are some of the, diverse figures it points to? What really drives their ability to create that impact? And maybe most importantly, what can you listening take away from their journeys?
Think of this as your shortcut, sort of, to understanding the mechanics of impactful success. Why should you spend time with this? Well, maybe you're just fascinated by what makes these world changers tick.
Or maybe you're looking for a different take on success, something that feels, I don't know, more meaningful.
Right, or you just want those aha moments without having to wade through tons of information. The source's analysis of how these individuals create change, it offers some surprising lessons, I think.
Yeah, and they feel relevant, really, no matter what your own goals or ambitions might be.
Okay, so let's start unpacking this. Right off the bat, the source seems to challenge the usual ways we measure success, just piling up money or becoming famous.
Definitely. It defines success in a much more personal and purpose-driven way. It suggests success is about achieving a goal that matters deeply to you.
That phrase, matters deeply to you, that feels really important.
It is. It's like an internal compass, right? Not some external scoreboard. And when you look at it through that lens, the source makes it super clear. Success, in this context, is fundamentally measured by its impact.
So it's not just what you achieved for yourself, but the effect that achievement actually had on the world around you.
Precisely. And what's fascinating is how that impact seems to work. It's usually not just a single isolated thing. The source calls it a ripple effect.
Ah, the ripple effect. I like that.
Yeah, the idea is that when you pursue something that's deeply meaningful to you and you actually achieve it, that success isn't just contained, it sends these ripples outwards. The source puts it quite nicely, saying something like, one innovation or one brave step can inspire thousands of others. Your focused effort creates waves that go way beyond your initial action.
Okay, so if success is defined by this ripple effect, by impact, who are some of the people the source points to as, creating those kinds of waves? They give us a really diverse set of examples, which is interesting.
It does. It shows that world change isn't just one thing. A really powerful example they use is Malala Yousafzai.
Right, the fight for girls' education.
Exactly. And it didn't start on some global stage, did it? It began simply with a blog. The source uses her story to show that impact can start incredibly personally, very locally. Yet that first brave step, just using the tools she had available, it eventually grew into this global movement. She won a Nobel Peace Prize. She's actively influencing education systems. It's huge.
Absolutely huge. And then you have someone totally different, like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
The source points to him for his, audacious approach to shaking up entire industries.
Yeah, electric cars, reusable rockets, even pushing ideas about living on Mars. It's like he's changing how we even think about the future.
He definitely makes you think differently. And what about Oprah Winfrey? The source highlights her journey, from a really difficult childhood to becoming one of the most influential women in the world.
And her success wasn't just kept for herself, right? She consciously used her platform, her influence, not just for personal gain, but to open doors, especially for women and people of color. And using it to educate and heal and empower so many people. The source specifically calls that deliberate use of influence world-changing.
That's a great point. The Steve Jobs story is in there, too, emphasizing not just his, product vision, but his incredible resilience.
Oh, yeah. Getting fired from Apple.
Right, from the company he co-founded.
Yeah.
That could have been the end of the story.
Right.
But his return and the work he did after that on products that have just reshaped our daily lives, it really highlights that failure isn't always the end. It can be part of the journey towards impact.
Definitely. And speaking of powerful voices and resilience, Greta Thunberg is mentioned too, a striking example that your age doesn't really matter when it comes to making change.
Yeah, starting with just school strikes on her own.
Exactly. And her clear vision, that unwavering voice, it just propelled her onto the world stage so quickly, speaking directly to global leaders about climate action. Powerful stuff.
The source also touches on figures like Nelson Mandela, highlighting, his leadership and that incredible capacity for forgiveness in healing a divided nation.
And Marie Curie, the groundbreaking scientist, first woman to win a Nobel Prize, she literally expanded human knowledge.
Then there's Martin Luther King Jr., whose speeches and marches, they fundamentally shaped civil rights history through sheer moral courage and strategic action.
Yeah. And Jane Goodall, dedicating her whole life to understanding and protecting animals, changing how we even see the natural world.
And Muhammad Yunus, who looked at poverty and didn't just see a problem, but created an innovative solution, microfinance, showing that economic models themselves can be tools for huge social impact.
It's quite a list. And looking at this diverse group, you naturally start asking, what is it about them? If we shift from who they are to analyzing what drives their ability to create these big ripple effects, what common threads does the source actually pull out?
This is where it gets really interesting, I think. The source identifies several key traits, these common drivers. There's vision, obviously, that ability to see a different future, a possibility others might just miss.
Right. But vision alone isn't enough, is it? It's coupled with incredible resilience. And the source argues this isn't just about bouncing back. It seems fueled by that really deep desire to make a difference, a powerful belief in their mission that helps them keep going, even when things get incredibly tough.
So it's about getting back up after falling.
Exactly. Getting back up and learning from it, which ties into learning from failure. The source is pretty clear that failure isn't the opposite of success here. It's actually part of the process.
Like the Steve Jobs example again. Each mistake, each setback, it teaches something valuable for the next step.
Yeah. There's also a definite willingness to take risks, often pretty significant ones, stepping into the unknown, betting on ideas that might seem impossible to other people.
And curiosity comes up too, a deep, almost insatiable curiosity.
That drive to ask questions, explore new ideas, never stop learning. The source mentions Bill Gates reading, like 50 books a year?
Yeah, something like that.
And it's not just a fun fact, right? It illustrates that fundamental commitment to always be learning, always seeking new perspectives.
Good point. And alongside that, curiosity is focus. These individuals seem to have this remarkable ability to know their priorities and just dedicate their energy consistently.
Yeah, they work on their core mission daily, avoiding things that would just dilute their impact.
But maybe the most powerful driver the source points to is a really strong sense of values and purpose.
Absolutely. Caring deeply about something bigger than themselves, whether it's the environment or education, health, pushing innovation forward, whatever it is.
That underlying purpose, it's not just a nice to have. It seems like it's the engine, really, that keeps their vision and resilience going through all the hard times.
Definitely. And finally, while we often think of these people as sort of singular figures, the source really emphasizes the crucial role of leadership.
Right, bringing others along.
Yeah, the ability to inspire and build teams or movements or even unite nations. And tied into that leadership, something often overlooked, is a strong support network.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the source makes a compelling case that nobody really changes the world alone. They surround themselves with people who not only support them, but also challenge them. Teamwork, collaboration, a network, they're essential tools, not optional extras.
Okay, so we've looked at what the source says success is, in this context, impact, driven by purpose. We've seen some examples, and we've talked about the traits that seem to drive them. The big question now is, okay, what does this all mean for you? Listening, how can we translate these observations from the source into, practical takeaways?
Right, because the source doesn't just profile these famous people. It tries to extract the lessons that are applicable to pretty much anyone who wants to make some kind of difference. One of the first is, find your passion.
What does that actually mean, according to the source?
It seems to be about identifying what you care about so deeply that it provides that powerful sense of purpose we were just talking about. What makes you feel alive? What drives you?
And then, a big one. Start small. The source uses examples like Malala's blog to show this doesn't mean Thinking small, right?
Exactly. It means using what you have right where you are to take that first brave step. You don't need to change the entire world overnight. Begin in your community, your workplace, maybe even your family.
And crucially, be consistent. The examples in the source really show that significant impact rarely comes from just one big burst of effort.
No, it's the result of steady, often daily, work towards that purpose. Showing up for your mission every day, even in small ways, seems key.
Okay, what else? Learn from others.
Yeah, actively study people who've created the kind of impact you admire. Use resources like the one we're discussing. Read their stories, listen to interviews. Really analyze their journeys. The source implies there's a pattern to impactful change, and you can definitely learn from it.
And circling back to a point we made earlier about traits, don't be afraid to fail.
So important. The source really frames mistakes not as roadblocks, but as essential parts of the learning process. You have to sort of embrace them as valuable lessons that help you refine your approach and build that resilience muscle.
And building that support system is vital too, it seems.
Absolutely. Surround yourself with people who believe in what you're doing, who lift you up when things get tough, but also, and this is important, who provide constructive challenge. The source really highlights that collaboration and having a network aren't signs of weakness. They're essential strengths for creating lasting impact.
Good point.
And maybe just remembering that powerful message from examples like Greta Thunberg. Your ability to make a difference isn't decided by your age. The source underscores that it's vision, voice, and action that truly matter.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap this deep dive then. We've seen how the source defines success not just by personal achievement, but by its ripple effect of impact.
Right, driven by achieving goals that genuinely matter deeply to you.
And we explored how diverse figures, Malala, Musk, Oprah, Jobs, and others, really embodied this, fueled by traits like vision, resilience, curiosity, purpose.
And leveraging support while learning from failure, yeah.
And the actionable lessons that come out of their journeys seem pretty powerful.
Find your passion. Start where you are, but be consistent. Learn from those who've done it before.
Embrace failure as a teacher and build that network that both supports and challenges you. The source leaves us with a really empowering thought, doesn't it? Suggesting that you, listening right now, you are capable of being part of that change. It offers this simple but quite profound call to action. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can.
Which brings us to maybe a final thought for you to chew on. If success is truly measured by the impact you create, and it's driven by your inner purpose and resilience in pursuing something that deeply matters to you, how does adopting that definition maybe shift your perspective on the challenges and goals in your own life?